Next, I want to tell you how I utilized Qridi in our remote learning and hybrid learning situations. So, because we had been using Qridi in our classroom for a while, and then when the COVID situation forced us to do some remote and hybrid learning, I would use Qridi as a tool to inform the students what I wanted them to do. Our most important tool was the task list, and I would create their own remote learning task list that would contain all of the tasks that they needed to complete. I was able to give them direction by voice memos, and I was able to add pictures, and they could return pictures to me, so I was able to see what they have been doing and how the learning was going. It was way easier for me to communicate with the students via Qridi because they all have access to it, unlike our other learning programs, because some of them are controlled by the guardians. Qridi also contains learning journals that we could use. So the students could write up a journal about their learning during remote school, and I would be able to see all of the fun things that they had been doing and all kind of more free projects that they would do for arts and stuff like that during remote school. Then we would also use the assessment tool to assess our remote school skills. So there's actually a ready-made package for that in Qridi library. So I chose that for my students so they would evaluate their routines and how they are working. So I could see if they needed some help with managing their time and establishing healthy routines during remote school. Qridi was very easy for me to use as well because the students can log on into it by just scanning a QR code. Because my students are quite small, they often forget their email address or their password. So to Qridi, they would be just able to get in by logging in with the QR code, and we had glued all of the login information to their math books, so they had them with them all the time. We would use Google Meet for our online classes, so I would be able to attach the link to our task list, so if they needed help with the task, they could just click the link and it would pop them up to our Google Meet. So that was very handy because my students really struggle with going to different online addresses at the same time, so that was very good. Qridi is also amazing because it works in all of the different kind of devices that students have, because it only needs internet connection and you can use it in any kind of browser you have on your device. So the students just logged on to Qridi and went to task list and looked for the remote school task list. They would have the tasks here. This was for math, and it would have directions in written form and then also as a voicemail. Good morning. And I included the button for our Google Meet, and they would either just evaluate how they did on their own, or they would be able to add a picture of the textbook or something if they needed to for me to check it. I would give them directions to do so if I wanted that, and then they could just get it all done on their own. And this is what it would look like for me. So it would be a picture of their work, and I would be able to then assess. So just here clicking the assessment and then updating it for the student. Or it could be that they recorded their reading and then I would be able to hear them read, and then I could give them a comment and assessment of how it went. And like I said, I used some assessment as well. So I took the ready-made assessment unit for remote school, and it had all of these learning targets and then the evaluation methods here. So my students would use that as well.